Yeah,
and,
2008.
and the things that he revealed in that book.
Yeah, okay. I will check it out.
Yeah,
All
definitely
right.
worth listening to. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. One thing we want to do is be a resource, and any good resource we like to hear about. Well, let's move right into our topic tonight. We're going to talk some about Think and Grow Rich, and thank you all for joining us. I'm Bernard Smalls, and my mission in life is helping people to live happily and successfully by developing their potential. So this is a very upbeat, positive point of view. And I believe we need more of that in the world today. So we're going to talk some about Think and Grow Rich. And particularly, we're going to talk about the topic of affirmations or affirmation. In the book, Mr. Hill called it auto-suggestion, which has to do with the power of words. Now, the interesting thing is that people that grow rich learn the vocabulary of wealth. They talk a certain way. And there's a reason for that, because words affect us psychologically, words affect us mentally, words affect us spiritually. We said that there are riches in niches. And in the book, Mr. Hill called it specialized knowledge. Now, the area of affirmations, I believe to be an area of specialized knowledge because a lot of people know about it, but a lot of people don't. How many of you have done some reading or listening in the area of affirmations and words? Okay, good. What have you found?
For me, it really works. Um, talk basically whatever you decide, whatever you say works on your subconscious.
Exactly.
And again, you can't, you, as long as it's realistic, you can't look at your weeds in your yard and say there's no weeds and there's no weeds and there won't be any weeds. But as long you can't, it doesn't, but as long as you follow up your visions with actual actions, then I think it's a very powerful tool.
Absolutely. Really powerful, Richard. We have found, and psychologists have discovered, three levels of the mind. There's the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is the mind below the level of the mind, and that subconscious mind is powerful. But here's the kicker: it's largely reactive to the words you speak, the thoughts you think, and the words you speak. Like if you say, I am sick, I am sick, I am sick, and you say that long enough, the subconscious mind says, we're supposed to be sick, and it's manifested in your body. Now, the reason we call this specialized knowledge, of course, some people hear you saying this stuff and they think you're a quack or you've been smoking too much Western weed or something. But the stuff really does work. And even neural scientists have discovered it in the area of neurology that your words even affect your brain. Zig Ziglar, I liked him from years ago. He passed away years ago. Used to talk about being a can-do person. And Napoleon Hill, interestingly, talked about this back in the 30s in the book Think and Grow Rich. So thinking is important, but also speaking words. I put together a book. It's called I Am Affirmations to Create Wealth. And if you're interested, go to Amazon.com, check it out. The Kindle version, I think, is only like $2.99. And it has some powerful affirmations. And we train you to make positive affirmations. And this deals with wealth, but it also deals with health. It deals with soundness, security, and just being a more whole person. So check that out. And I appreciate any feedback you give me on it. Now, let's talk some about affirmations creating wealth. There's a lot of talk today about manifesting prosperity. And a lot of it was birthed through a movie called The Secret by a lady named Rhonda Byrne. But a lot of people don't realize this stuff is not new. I mean, you go to the ancient writings, mainly, my preference is the writings of Jesus, where he said, you can have what you say You can even speak to a mountain, it'll be removed. I don't believe he said go out and speak to a literal rock mountain, but to difficulties in your life, words have power. So we said words manifest prosperity. In order to manifest prosperity in our lives, we must change our words. Now, my quick little testimony is I started out as a musician. We went out west with a deal we thought we had with Motown, fell through. I ended up washing cars. I used this same process and started making affirmations when I was washing cars years ago for $3.65 an hour. Anybody remember those wages? Minimum wage, to becoming one of the highest paid persons in the same company. And today I'm still in the field, largely doing work in the automotive industry. But I learned to use the power of words when I was washing cars and hating every moment of it. Who has a testimony or a story about how words have changed your life? Anyone?
Well, I'm a big Tony Robbins guy, and I started listening to Tony Robbins back in college. He's been around that long.
Yes. How long ago was that, may I ask, Richard?
I was in college I graduated in 90.
Okay. Yeah, that's not that long ago. Yeah.
Like
I heard about Tony back in the 80s. I think it was around 86 when I first heard of Tony. And the book was Unlimited Power. I'm sure you remember that one. That was his very first book, blockbuster book. And then he came out with Awaken, The Giant Within. And I enjoy his stuff.
right. And basically, old Tony took some of the concepts, and again, all these, like you said, all this knowledge is not new. All these people are standing on each other's shoulders.
Exactly.
He
I like
really,
that. One of my favorite sayings is we stand on the shoulders of giants. And I like to give credit to the people I've learned from, but it's not new stuff. And so many people are saying, where are you coming up with all this new stuff? Well, it's legendary, profound. Tony called it profound knowledge
Mhm.
and in his book. Well, thank you so much. Anyone else? You don't have to share, but if you have a testimony where words have literally changed your life, you know your words will also keep you healthy. I am just had my 68th birthday. I'll tell on myself a couple of days ago, and I have never been in a hospital in my adult life for anything needing an operation or anything. Now, some people say, well, that's just abnormal. Well, people in my wife's family, they're always asking, how's Bernard's health holding out? And she said, he's fine. But every day I say, I feel happy, I feel healthy, I feel terrific. And I make other affirmations about health. And thank God I'm not being boastful, but I've been a healthy individual. And I largely credit it to the words. And you can put those words to work on health and wealth and create the life you desire to live. As long as you're not destroying other people's lives, got enough of that going on now, and trying to injure your fellow man. It's just the way the creator set things up. The words have power. So your words can change, I believe, your entire world. Here are a few things I want to share with you. And again, if you have a thought, just raise your hand or let me know, and we'll share this. How to manifest money. Now, we're talking about money. Some people say, you talk about money a lot. Well, I believe it's one of the things I'm here to talk about and to help people with. And to manifest money, there's some simple principles that will work. And you can put these to work even starting tonight. First of all, you ask. Be clear in your mind about what you want. And just be clear about the fact that you want money. Now, a lot of people just say, well, that's evil. Wanting money is evil. No, it's not. Why do you go to work every day? Or do you work? Why do you invest? Be clear in your mind and get rid of the guilty thing about the conflict, the psychological conflict about money. I found that all wealthy people that are truly wealthy, they've gotten clear and they believe they're supposed to have money. Does that make sense? So you ask. Number two is to believe. Now you must believe that it's yours. But the interesting thing about this realm we're talking about You believe you have it before you get it. And that's a concept the Bible calls faith. You believe you have it before you get it. And then number three, you receive it and you affirm that you have it. Now, in the movie book, The Secret, Rhonda Byrne interestingly talks about this. She calls it the creative process. And The Secret is not a religious book. And I use that a lot because I do a lot of training in the corporate and also speak sometimes in churches and biblical places where people can receive from it. But in corporate, you share the secret, everyone like, oh, yes, if it'll manifest more money, let's go for it. And we've seen it work in corporate America. You've got to receive it and feel happy about getting money. And one way you do it is by making the affirmations continuously. Does that make sense? Does it so far? Okay, I'm going to quote a Hebrew scripture in Exodus 3:14. Scripture says, and God said to Moses, I am that I am. Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, I am has sent me unto you. I am, without getting into the religious side of it, are the two most powerful words you can speak. Why do you think I said that? Let's talk about it. Why do you think the words I am are so powerful? Anybody? Well, I have some coffee. Cheers.
I am, meaning if you're not, you can never be.
Brilliant. Good seeing you, cuz. Welcome.
Hi.
Yeah,
That's bottom line. If you don't believe that I am, you will never be.
you will never be. Brilliant. Well said. You know, Jesus even said this before Abraham was, I am. It's called the law of being. And it's interesting that you would say that, Yvonne, because in the book, I have a chapter called the law of being. And when you say I am, you are being. And if you're not, as you eloquently said, you will never be. So again, that's why the words I am are so powerful. Now, it always interests me, I studied theology, that I am is God's name. Of all of the words God could have chosen for his name, he chose the words I am. And those words have the most impact on our life, our health, our wealth. I was in corporate yesterday. I was at a big Toyota store down in Daphne, Alabama. And this owner, he believes this stuff. In fact, he started out with $300,000. Now he's worth 300 million. And I worked with him the whole time. So we've seen this stuff manifest. But he said when he built the store, he built a $24 million store in a small town in a town called Daphne, Alabama. Even Toyota told him, you're spending way too much money. He said, I will build it and they will come. I will build it and they will come. So, and he built it in 2007. And now he's the number one Toyota dealership in the whole state of Alabama. And I work with the man closely. So again, this is not magical stuff, but when you say I am, it is mystical because it's a mystery how it works. What you say after it manifests if you believe it. Any other thoughts on that point? Thank you for sharing that, sister. All right, let's talk about another area, them. Again, I'm not here trying to sell books. We never do anything just to sell books, but the book has the information you need if you like this stuff. In this book, I share a concept called them. And those of you that have studied with me have heard it before. It's for three words: visualize, affirm, and meditate. You might write those words down. Visualize. When you visualize, you're saying, I am that which I picture. Then you must affirm it. When you affirm it, you are saying, I am. You're affirming the reality. And then you must meditate on it or think it and feel it. The amazing thing is, so many people say this stuff is hocus pocus. But do you know most professional athletes practice visualization, for instance? They practice, it's called positive imagery. and they see the results they want to see. They said that Michael Jordan, who I still believe was one of the greatest basketball players, arguably of all time. Some people disagree, but I think the guy's proven himself as far as playing basketball. He would show up at the gym much earlier than everyone else and sit there and visualize the outcome he wanted during the game. Did he win every game? No, of course not. But he won many of them. All right. So you visualize, affirm, and meditate. Anybody here practice visualization? Anyone?
I do.
You do? Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you do it, Richard?
I come up with basically, I believe that whatever you think you are, you are. It's true. You make
Yeah.
it. You know, we live between our ears. We see the world from between our two ears.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, if you say I'm sick, then you will be sick. Then it's true. If you say I'm a loser, then you are a loser. If you say I can do this, I can make this. I am a, in my world, I'm a real estate investor, and I make
Oh, as
live.
an investor, huh?
And that's what I do, and that's what I've made my reality.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
are you are what you think you are, and if you think you're a loser, then that's true for you. You
Yeah.
know, if you say I always, I always, everything that I do turns to shit, then that's your reality.
Exactly. You know,
So,
Henry Ford was known for saying this: the man that says I can and the man that says I can't are both right. Ford, the amazing thing about Think and Grow Rich, and I know you know this, Richard, is Hill had, well, Mr. Carnegie had Hill study all of these wealthy men that were what we call self-made millionaires, and found that they practiced many of these concepts and then put the book together. And Henry Ford was one of them. He had some strange ways, but as far as believing you can, they say Mr. Royce was also that way, who invented the Rolls Royce. So we have story after story of men that have done great things because they believed they could. Any other thoughts, Richard?
no,
All right. All right.
listening to you.
Go ahead. All
I'm
right.
sorry, I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Okay. Looks like you're going for a walk there, huh?
Having some coffee. That's all.
Oh, good. Yeah, I have my coffee here. I have coffee on travel.
Get me going. Yeah.
You're a man after my own heart. All right. Now, here are some affirmations from the book, and we're about to wrap up. I want to keep this short and sweet. And these are directly out of this book, I Am Affirmations to Create Wealth. And just to give you a sample, I am open to receiving wealth. Say that to yourself. I am open to receiving wealth. Because we found a lot of people have a psychological roadblock to wealth, and it stops the wealth from coming. Because, as you said, Richard, as you think, who said that years ago? Earl Nightingale, you may have heard of him. He said, you become what you think about. Well, a guy named James Allen, one of the greatest psychologists of all times, also said that he wrote a book, As a Man Thinks. And it goes all the way back to Solomon, who said in Proverbs, as you think in your heart, so are you. So the next one is, I am attracting great wealth into my life, which is the law of attraction. Say that to yourself. I am attracting great wealth into my life. Now, I am a magnet for wealth. I like that one. A lot of people don't like that because they're like, I'm not a magnet. Either God's going to bring it to me or not. Well, God has given you the power to create wealth. So I am a magnet for wealth. Then wealth flows to me and through me. That means you're generous, you're a giver. And then wealth comes to me in different ways. being wealthy, notice being, which means I am wealthy is my birthright, and I am surrounded by wealth and riches. And in this book, we have over 65, I counted them one day, affirmations to create wealth. And I encourage you to, if you do it for 21 days, it'll change your life forever. If you'll practice those affirmations, and they don't have to be from my book, but any solid book with affirmations that you practice daily, you will start to think and grow rich. Now, the book is available again at Amazon.com, or you could get it at our website, which is centerforim.com. And again, I give credit to the giants that have gone before us. And I've read Think and Grow Rich and listened to it off and on since the mid 80s. And it's stuff that works. All right, let's have a little Q&A time. Any questions or comments or thoughts? Because we can all learn from each other, and that's what this setting is all about.
What's your favorite chapter?
My favorite chapter in the book, I believe, would have to be the first chapter where he starts out talking about desire, the first part of the book. Because without desire, you can do nothing. And he brings out that desire is of the Father, which means desires that we have in our heart have been given to us. And he talks about, here's this, a burning desire. I like that burning desire, because if you don't want it, there's nothing anybody can do. I get people all the time, I don't care about money. Well, that's fine. It leaves more for the people that do want it. Okay. Hopefully I answered your question. That's my favorite on desire. What's your name, sir?
I go by Abdul.
Oh, yeah. Abdul. I see now. Abdul Hamid. Nice meeting you. Thank you for joining us.
Nice meeting you too.
All right. My
Great to
pleasure.
meet you.
Any other questions? Q&A. And if someone else wanted to comment on someone's answer, again, it's open floor.
Oh, one of the interesting thing in the book for me was the chapter, I think 9, the sexual transmutation. I never kind of understood it in plain English. So if you can have few words on that, that would be great for me.
Yes, that chapter is very, very interesting. He called it sex transmutation. And I believe that what he was saying there is that the power of sex is one of the most powerful drives in the planet. Why? He said most men become wealthy because of a woman. And it could be your mother. Think of all the NFL players that have become great players because they wanted to get their mother out of the, what we call the hood or the ghetto. I don't know what you think of the Colorado team, but even Dion, prime time, they call him. He said he created that whole image to get his mom out of the ghetto because he knew he would get rich if he was loud, flamboyant, outgoing. So his mother's influence. Now, also, it could be a wife. How many men become wealthy to please a wife? And not even to speak about a girlfriend. So I think there's something innate about the sexual nature of man that makes us want to accomplish. And he went a lot deeper into that. And to honestly say, some of it is not easy to understand where he was coming from. But sexual energy is a drive that I believe if we channel into creativity, wealth, and use that energy as a drive, we will do more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, but the channel part is what we are trying to understand. Like I do appreciate your answer.
Okay. The channeling part?
Yeah, I mean, generally, it's hard to channel that. Like there's no steps for that.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah. In fact, how do you channel that? That's the big question most people have. How do you channel it? Well, I'll give a quick illustration of myself. When I got married, one of my goals was that my wife wouldn't work. All right. Because my dad always worked hard. and mom did too. And I remember when she was not working, when we come home and smell, bread cooking in the house and everything was just so great. And then she got a job and you come home and the house was locked and the kids got in there and we got into trouble. So I thought, when my kids are growing up, I want my wife at home. Of course, a woman is a sexual being. So I channeled my energy into, I must succeed to take care of my wife. And again, that's a kind of a loose interpretation, but my drive was to, provide for her, keep her happy. My wife says, I'm not spoiled. My husband just loves me. Okay. So again, love for a woman or love for a man, the passion there. We'll talk about that some more later, but that's the deepest chapter, I think, in the whole book. Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up, whoever gave it. All right. Any other questions or thoughts? Why do we do what we do? By the way, a guy wrote a book called The Power of Why. Simon Sinek, I believe is his name. And he goes in the power of the why. And sometimes I think with the sexual drive, Tony Robbins also spoke about that, Richard. He said, you give me a big enough why, I'll figure out the how.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions, thoughts? All right. Well, hopefully this has been enjoyable. Again, we'd like to keep it short and sweet. A couple of things I want to tell you about before we wrap up. Was someone saying something?
Yes, I was about to say, I coming back to a place where I used to be that I lost, and now re encouraging myself to get back to where I used to be.
Okay.
And I appreciate your affirmations, the help, because it's allowing my strength to be strong in what I need to do. So I
Awesome.
thank you.
All right. Well, thank you too. That's why I do what I do. And I've been there. I was talking about it yesterday to some people. Some things I used to believe I lost, and it took life kind of slapping me around a little bit. And then I woke up and said, wait a minute, what am I doing? And got back on the path. And now the rest of my life, I'm going to hold on by the grace of God. But we all go through that, I believe. And sometimes you have that wake up, like, what am I doing? Eating with the swine, or it's almost like the prodigal son story, and you wake up. And to me, it was just some of the things I had believed I had let go of, and they were sitting there all the time. And I'll tell you a little more about that in the future. Thank you so much for the appreciation, cuz.
I have one. I do actually have a question.
Yes, sir.
You talk about meditation. Are you talking about meditation as in thinking about it, or meditation as a true form of meditation, like in the Eastern sense?
I'm talking about it in the area of thinking about it. Now, here's why. Meditation can be so deep and so complex that you can't even understand where the teacher is coming from. I've listened to various teachers on all the styles of meditation. But the Hebrew word for meditate means to think on, to ponder, and to roll something over and over in your mind. So I stay with the simplicity, Richard. I'm talking about, when I say meditate, I'm talking about thinking on it. When I think on the power to get wealth and close my eyes and just sit there and contemplate, that's meditation. Now, some people say you got to have your legs folded in a certain way, and you got to have your fingers crossed, and you got to be looking up at the sky and saying ooh. And I'm not knocking those people, but I don't push around other people's religious belief. But I'm just talking about, scripture talks about meditate in the word, and it'll make you successful because it changes your thinking. So I have another book here. How many books do you have? I don't know anymore. I Am a Minority Millionaire. And I wrote that one primarily to get minorities thinking right about money. Don't blame the system. Don't blame the man. Don't blame the government. Meditate on your success Get out there and work smart and hard and watch what happens. So that's my answer. And in the book, I keep meditation in its basic form. Think on things that are good, as one scripture says. Think on positive things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the reason I'm asking, again, getting back to my guy, Tony Robbins, he has he calls it priming, but it basically is a form of meditation. And you can look it up. It's also free online. He's got it free online. And it's a combination of meditation and thinking about, happy things in life and also things in your future, and creating a sense that you have completed it, how you would feel. He links your thoughts to feelings, which is
Exactly.
a very powerful thing.
Powerful. That's powerful. You just opened more of the door. I kind of just touched on what I believe, but I started to talk quite a bit about your thoughts and your feelings, because the feelings are an important part of it. And involving that in meditation, I think, is very, very critical. Priming. Dr. Wayne Dyer has some good teaching on meditation too, the late Dr. Dyer. Every once in a while, he gets a little deep, but he uses terms like to visualize and affirm and see the end result is to meditate. But Dr. Dyer gets into various types of meditation. So
Right.
thank you for sharing that. There's a program I want to tell everyone about called Destiny, and it's called Destiny of the Third Millennium, written by a friend of mine who's now 91 years of age. He's a billionaire, and he has a third grade education. His name is Peter Daniels. You might look him up. And at Center for I Am, that's available. It's a program for business people who want to really knock it out of the park. And I teach this in a lot of businesses where we go, and we've seen some entrepreneurs just literally change their whole business. And it's an in-depth program on personal development and business. I also have a program I call Insight, and this is more for the quote Bible believer. And it's at centerforiam.com is the website, and it's Facebook Live on Sunday morning. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about reaching your full potential. All the messages are really practical. I did an interview this week with a business person, and he asked me a couple of questions about spirituality. And he said, I was really glad to see you shift into it without beating us over the head with the religion. And that's not what we're doing here. Finally, we plan on doing these meetings the last Saturday of each month. So according to my calendar, the next one is November 25th. And we allow from 6 to 7. If you want to join us, and again, there's no real agenda other than me sharing the information, sharing some resources, and we like for you to bring your thoughts and resources as well. All right. So
Sounds
hopefully
great.
this was helpful. Was it helpful tonight at all?
Absolutely.
Well, you definitely helped me, and you all blessed me as you shared. So go watch your favorite college football team. I live in Georgia, so I say go Dogs. And I'm training in Alabama last week. They say roll Tide over there. But if you like football, enjoy some football. Any thoughts as we wrap up?
I said, thanks for doing that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate you all, and may the great I Am expand your life until your destiny is fulfilled. Have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
All right, my
You
pleasure.
too, Bernard. Bye. Thank
All
you
right.
for putting it together.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Bye now.
All right, bye now.